this silence is uncomfortable. Or is it comfortable?
No, it's just awkward.
I think it depends on who you are. No, I don't know if it's awkward.
I don't mind silence. Like, when I'm listening to a podcast, I kind of mind silence, I think, but just in general. People call it awkward silence. I just like calling it silence.
Fun fact, we actually have a little more silence sometimes than we ought to.
Oh, in our podcast, you mean?
More silence than awkward. No, there's quite a bit of awkward there, too, in case you hadn't noticed.
Yeah.
I'll take the blame for it.
Come join the post-production team. You'll find out.
There you go.
See, I'm just the guy who posts it, so by the time I get to hear it...
Posting production.
Yeah, but I'm not, like, actually part of the production.
It was sort of a joke. But
I get
Where's
it.
the wah now? Mm-hmm. And that was uncomfortable. Was.
That's what happens when you press the button multiple times.
But by the time I post it, it's already like produced. So any like awkward silence is presumably edited out.
Not always. We kind of
sometimes you get just tired of it.
First starting,
you're like, nah, I'm not gonna deal with that one.
When I first starting it, I edited some of it out, but like as time has gone on, you know,
let it
just keeping it real.
Yeah,
keeping it real.
Let it be awkward.
Like that's too much. Of course, we'd have like you'd be surprised, like 1 or 2 seconds on a podcast of silence, not a podcast of silence, but 2 seconds of silence on a podcast is surprisingly like awkward, like long. Dead air. Like it's odd.
Like if you go back and listen to what he just said, it'll sound slightly awkward because the pauses in between. I know for myself when I say stuff, one, I trip over my words way more than I realized. 2,
you should tie your shoes then.
I have a lot of pauses in between my thoughts. Like I'll say something, pause, say something again.
You're gathering your thoughts so you don't trip over them.
Again. It doesn't always work because I had one time where it was like, and it was like this, and I thought, oh my goodness.
You did that. Where you just did down. That's what happened.
That was a real life example.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It was an object lesson. It was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But you know what is comfortable? Blankets. Blankets are very comfortable.
They are very comfortable.
Yeah.
They're one of my most favorite things in the world.
Most favorite. Is that redundant? No.
Yes.
No, maybe. Partially redundant.
Actually, I think...
No, I guess most can be related to other things besides favorite. So
yeah, but it
depends on if you think that someone can have more than one favorite item. Like if
that would make it more of
favoritism is one thing, or can it be something that is rated and on a gradient or a scale.
Most best would be redundant.
Most favorite.
Yeah.
The most best.
The most bestest.
Because you could have several things upon which you bestow favor, and this is the one upon which you bestow the most favor.
The most favor.
I never thought of favorite in that terms, but technically I think that's correct.
Yes. Anyway, blankets way high up there.
Good to know.
They are your favorite.
Yes.
I mean,
you know what the most comfortable blanket ever is?
Your weighted blanket?
Yes. Oh, man.
You waited for it for so long.
I did. Oh, I think that could have had the drums there.
Okay.
Yeah,
I wanted to make sure.
That
was my way of explaining, making sure that people knew it was a joke, because it wasn't necessarily that funny. Like, no one laughed, so I had to make sure.
Excuse me,
I laughed. You laughed? Okay.
Or I thought I laughed. maybe I only laughed in my head.
Use your outside voice on the inside.
I thought it was funny.
You laughed on the inside. I'm laughing on the inside.
Way I don't have to laugh on the outside.
On the inside.
No, but for those who don't know what a weighted blanket is, it's what it sounds like. It's a blanket with lots of weight.
It's a blanket that you have to wait for it.
Is is 12 pounds, I think. 12 or 15 pounds. Anyway, it's like a quilt.
So you can go to the gym by making your bed.
Well, I'll tell you, if you're not used to it at first, like it's kind of like, it can be kind of heavy to move around. So if you imagine a quilt, but instead of, the squares of the quilt being filled with like fluff or feathers or something like goose that, down. Like goose down quilt, it has tiny little glass beads that actually add weight to the blanket. And it's just, I don't know, it's very nice. It's not super hot. Like there's sometimes if it's cold, I'll actually need another blanket to kind of warm me up. So it's not like a hot blanket. It just adds a little extra weight, which is perfect in Florida because it can be hot. And I don't like to sleep without a blanket. I think I would find it difficult to sleep without a blanket, even if I'm hot.
It's not the most comfortable. I've done it
sometimes. What I used to do if I was hot, I would like scrunch it and just like have it go over my torso and shoulders, and that was. But I'd have my legs sticking out because it was too hot.
See, if I fall asleep on the couch, I can sometimes get away with like hugging a pillow without having to get a blanket. But I'm kind of the same way. I'm kind of the same way. I like the feel of the blanket.
If I have a long sleeve shirt, I can kind of get away, or a hoodie, I can get away without a blanket.
I probably could do without a blanket too,
depending on the situation.
You should try the weighted blanket. It'll change your life.
Indeed.
Definitely.
Yeah.
See, there was some awkward silence.
I know. I let it ride just as an example.
Yes.
An object lesson.
An object lesson. Yeah.
Anyway,
but that wasn't a forced one. It just happened.
Yeah. Well, I thought I could interject something, or I could let it ride for the fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, side, totally unrelated, random rabbit trail. I thought of this because you were kind of explaining how you mess with or have to fight with your blanket, not fight with it, but you're kind of explaining.
We put on boxing gloves every
the hard,
night.
I'm just imagining the cartoons of fighting in a chair.
The blanket, and you were using your hands to gesture it, and I realized with an audio podcast, some of these things are lost. Because I realized I do that sometimes. Since we're talking about podcast things of that, where I if I'm agreeing with something, I like to nod, but I realize, wait a second. The audience can't hear that, so every once in a while you hear me go, because I'm I'm nodding. I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, but they can't hear that I'm agreeing, so then I'm like, I have to go,
yeah.
Audio podcast things.
It's true.
Yeah,
some of it's
a
good though that they can't see.
That's true.
Like my hair right now, it's good that they can't see it.
I don't think your hair is bad, but
I need a haircut. I have not gotten a haircut at all this year, for real. Which I have curly hair, which means it doesn't grow down long. It grows out. It goes.
Yeah.
Just like that. Sounds and all. No, okay.
The only one of us that has curly hair.
Yeah.
Naturally curly hair.
Wavy-ish hair, but.
Your hair?
Well, would it be curly? I mean,
Your hair is
I would say it's curly. It's not.
It's
really wavy.
It's not wavy. It's curly.
Yeah.
I mean, when it's short, it could be more wavy, but
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's long like it is now, it's curly.
You'll notice if I have gone a long time without a haircut, I usually will wear a hat because there's not much I can do with it, to make it look nice. So then I've done this actually before, where I'll walk into a place with a hat on and then take it off because I can explain how it looks by the fact that it's hat hair and it's okay. But
well, fun fact, our mom, she has curly hair.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which is actually a lot more straight now.
I was going to say, it's kind of straightened out.
Yeah, she'd gotten it straightened a couple times, and I think it just kind of helped, retrain her hair. But she really didn't want us to have curly hair, so she made sure she prayed for my hair. She prayed over Nathan, she prayed over your hair, and I guess something happened. She forgot to pray over your hair.
It may have had something to do with the fact that I was upside down inside of her. That may have been a distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had to pray to have me flip.
But you have nice curly hair, though.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. But I need a haircut. I haven't got one all this year just because of pandemic and not wanting to quite go to a hair salon. But I might do it soon.
Yeah.
Because
I could cut it for you if you want.
Or I'm uncomfortable with that idea.
Or
well, I was trying to get out of my comfort zone and cut someone else's hair. I cut my own hair, but I've never cut somebody else's hair before.
See, I don't actually go for styling my hair. It has 2 styles. It is short and long, or 3. It is short, long, and growing in between. Like I just get it like cut down to the same style every time, and then it just grows out. I don't go like, it's like, so how do you want to style it? I just want it shorter. I just want it shorter than it is. Like I show a picture of like I did it one time where I walked in and showed a picture of like me with the hair I wanted. And it's like, oh, so you want it like how he has it like this? I'm like,
yes, how
he has it is totally different person. Yeah, you can't tell because my hair looks like this. But I was also wearing a suit in the picture, so maybe that threw them off.
Were you a lot younger, maybe too, or
a little bit, but not much. I mean, yeah. But I'm like, you don't recognize me? Okay, this is why I'm here.
For this random person.
Anyway, that's a little anecdote for the day. Anecdote, right?
Yeah, I don't necessarily like long hair, but I usually just like forget to cut it because it's like keep it like short. You have to like go every like 2 weeks or maybe a month to like
something like that. Yeah.
Keep it at like the same length, and I just for whatever reason don't normally do it that often, and so it gets kind of the way it is now. It's not like super long to like the ground long, but it's longer than some people, I guess.
Well, I had gone for a couple of years without having my hair cut or trimmed at a salon and just doing it myself. And then I finally decided I wanted to go ahead and have short hair, and so I didn't trust myself to cut my own hair for the shoulder.
You wonder
length.
Why I didn't take you up on your offer.
However, I went to the salon, and granted, I didn't go to like, Pierre's Couture or something, something fancy.
Fancy schmancy.
No, I mean, I went to a place that will remain nameless. Not to, I don't want to.
I went to.
I don't want to taint their reputation. But the lady that did my hair, it was not her day. She was nice enough, and she chatted the whole time. And I looked. Thankfully, I didn't really take a good look at myself in the mirror. In the sense of I didn't like look at my hair closely. I just kind of was like, oh yeah, that's the length I was wanting, and there's a little bit of layers, and I'm good. And then I get into my car, and I run my fingers through my hair, and I realize that one side is like half an inch to an inch longer than the other side of my head. Like,
oh no.
Okay.
And
this isn't even like sideburns like being messed up. Like it was your actual
girls
hairline.
Don't have sideburns.
I know, but I'm saying like there's like the joke on the Andy Griffith show where it was like
one earlobe is longer than the other.
No, like
it was your actual hair, and it just literally just like
if I had pigtails, one of them would have been shorter than the other one. What I did was I kind of gathered my hair like in front, like did this like little. I don't know. I gathered it in front of
beard. No,
it almost looked like a beard, but I gathered it in front of my
just
chin,
to fully test it,
just to look and see. And like it was definitely 2 different lengths, and then there were these like really long hairs that they had missed. Like it.
Oh man,
it was so bad.
And you
so
didn't
I fixed
trust
it.
yourself to.
Well, I was like,
it.
I paid them money to do this to me. I'm like, I could have done this myself. And so I fixed it myself. I wasn't going to go back in there because I thought.
It's not quite like getting food remade.
Well, the thing is when she asked me about it, I thought, this is kind of longer. Like, I kind of wanted it just a little bit shorter. But I was like, I'm going to leave it. I'm just going to take my money and go. And
you were looking at the longer side.
I guess. Well. Yeah, thankfully she hadn't done it, because then by the time I got done cutting it and evening everything out, I actually got it to where the length I wanted it.
Nice.
Anyway, so I don't like to go to hair salons.
Yeah. It's not totally my favorite. I think that's one of the reasons why I just haven't. But
yeah, I was uncomfortable with the way it looked afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sometimes they make me uncomfortable because they have the buzz thing that goes by your ear and you hear vroom, vroom, and it, yeah. I'm a very, like, squeamish person when it comes to that, so I usually wind up, like, wincing when it gets too close to my ear because I feel like it's going to go like Simon Peter and Simon Peter's hair salon.
What happened to your ear?
Yeah.
I went to Simon Peter's hair salon.
Simon Peter's hair salon.
Why do we keep talking about comfort? It just seems like it's popped up several times.
Oh, there is a reason, but I'm not sure if we're quite there yet.
You're not comfortable with us sharing why?
Oh, well, we're going to share why, but I didn't know if we were that far yet.
I thought I'd get you out of your comfort zone and just go right into it.
We could.
We haven't done Bible trivia though.
See, that's what I was waiting for.
You want to do Bible trivia first?
I don't know. What do you think? We didn't introduce ourselves. Not that we necessarily have to, but we talked about doing that a little bit more often.
Oh.
Welcome to 3 PKs on a podcast with me, myself, and I.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Longest intro ever.
There we go. That was just the beginner. That's the prequel. Hello. Welcome to the very beginning of the... That was bonus content.
And now we're actually starting.
We should just like insert the intro music right here, you know? All right, guys.
Well, anyway, to introduce
Welcome
ourselves.
back.
Welcome back.
I'm Emily.
I'm Matthew.
I'm Nathan.
Right.
I don't feel like using the same joke I did last time.
We're 3
just calling myself
PKs,
me, but
pastor kids.
Yes, we're
siblings.
3 pastors' kids.
Pastors' kids.
3 kids, and our dad is a pastor.
And we have a podcast.
There you go.
And we're all on the same podcast.
We are talking about
life. For all of our newbies out there.
Yes.
Hi, all of our regulars, welcome back.
Yes. And
yes, welcome back, regulars.
Now it's time for
Bible trivia. I really like that music. I decided to keep it in last week. I wasn't sure if I was going to go back to the old or go with the new. Went with the new. So there you go. All right. So as a refresher for all of those listening, last time we did Bible trivia. We wound up with Team Clever Ducks at 127,500 and the Team Super-Sleuths at 165,000. Just 165,000. No extra hundreds. I was, yeah. Anyway.
We're falling behind, but hopefully the cracks won't begin to show.
I would be comfortable with that.
You would?
I would.
Well, I'm not going to give you extra unless it is merited.
I have my Bible open in front of me. I better close it because I don't want to cheat.
Well, that's only going to work if you happen to be open to like the verses for like trivia and whatnot. So, but
Psalm 91:7.
Okay, are you ready for the first question?
I am.
And
yes.
Okay, alrighty. So the first question is true or false?
50% chance of getting this one right.
Yeah. True or false? The followers of Jesus were first called Christians in Antioch. True or false? The followers of Jesus were first called Christians in Antioch. All right, Team Clever Ducks, can you...
I went with true.
Went with true, and Super-Sleuths
said true.
And the answer is true. I was flipping in my Bible to make sure that
thanks for using our recent Bible reading.
Yeah, that's where I got it. We read it recently.
To be fair, last time we read something recently, we didn't know.
Yeah, that's true. That was John 6:63.
We were able to redeem ourselves.
But we're going through a Acts reading challenge at the church right now because there's like, was it 28 chapters in Acts and 30 days in September or something like that? So you have like 2 days of padding. And so we read this in Acts 11:26. Just for context, read 25. Then departed Barnabas to Tarsus to seek for Saul. When he had found him, he brought him to Antioch, and it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with the church and taught much people, and the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch. Acts 11:26. So that's 10,000 for both teams.
Yay!
We also have an applause effect.
Woo!
Our new little soundboard, if you were with us last week. Pardon me while I do math. Not math, but...
Make you look proud.
There you go.
We should just leave some awkward silence here while he does math.
No.
Yeah. All done. Okay. All right.
And moving on.
All right. So I'm going to make sure I hide my Bible so that way I don't show you where I'm pulling our fill in the blank. Are you ready for the fill in the blank? And the bonus will be where it's at, so that way we don't have another repeat
Last time.
Okay, here we go. Are you ready? Fill in the blank.
All right.
All right. In the beginning was blank, and blank was with God, and blank was God. Hint, all the blanks are the same answer. Read again. In the beginning was blank, and blank was with God, and blank was God. Have to lock in your... Okay. Okay. Can you tell me what the blank is?
I went with the word, and I wrote it 3 times, even though it's supposed to be the same thing every time.
Okay. And
I just said the word.
The word, and the word is the word. The right word is the word, or the words. The right words is the word. Anyway, yes, that's the correct answer.
I reckon I don't get any bonuses for doing it 3 times.
No. And then the bonus question though is, where is it found? Well, someone's real confident already.
I'm not confident about the verse, but
oh yes, half bonus if you get the book. Okay, Clever Ducks, you said it was found in
John 1:1,
and Super-Sleuths said
John 1:1.
There you go, John 1:1.
Hey,
in the beginning was the Word, and the Word
correct.
was with God, and the Word was God. John 1:1. 1:1. Wow, 1:1. John 1:1.
Not to be confused with 1 John
5,000
1:1.
points, right?
Yes, 5,000 for the bonus plus your 10,000 for the right answer. Give me a second.
Not to be confused with 1 John 1:1.
Or first John 1:1.
Yeah, but it sounds funnier if you say 1 John.
Okay, and we're going to wrap up the trivia with a Bible riddle. These are my favorite. So, all right, you guys ready?
So
I'm ready.
Guy and gal.
I got to break 200.
I'll have to listen more closely this time.
That's my goal.
I don't know if it is possible.
It is. All things are possible.
To him who believes.
All right. Bonus trivia. Where's it? No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to answer it. It's fine. I don't even know if I know where that's. I have an idea.
Where is that
anyway,
found?
It's in Mark chapter 10. I don't know what verse.
I was going to say I thought it was in Mark, but
yeah. All right. Anyway, so the Bible riddle is: I have Neil Armstrong beat, who was the first man on the moon. Everything started out perfect, but I messed it up real soon. I became most famous for my sin, but she ate it first, and she was my only kin. It's a little bit harder there, but
I'm gonna have to ask for an explanation on this one.
Can you say it again?
Yeah. So I have Neil Armstrong beat the first man on the moon.
Oh, I get it now. Okay. Sorry.
Everything started out perfect, but I messed it up real soon.
Okay.
I'm most famous for my sin, but she ate it first, and she was my only kin. Who am I? Person saying the riddle. Okay. And Team Clever Ducks, you said it was...
This is Adam.
Okay, and Super Sleuth said...
I also said Adam.
And the correct answer is Adam. So it was a little bit trickier there.
You threw me off with the moon, but you're talking about the first man.
I decided to emphasize it a little bit better that second time for that reason. Yeah. So Neil Armstrong's the first man on the moon, but the first man that God ever made on Earth was Adam. So he's got him well.
Yeah. Well, because I was like, there's nobody in the Bible where it talks about him being on the moon. And then I thought maybe you're talking about Lucifer, like he landed on the moon as he got kicked out of heaven. And I'm like, that's still not in the scripture. And then when you're like, oh, she ate it first and she was my only kin, I was like, oh.
I
know who you're talking about, but I didn't understand the moon.
I had almost the exact same thought process. I'm like, what is with the moon? And then I thought it could be Lucifer, but then you're like, she ate it first. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. While he's doing that, I'm gonna
doing it the hard way.
I'm gonna make sure I have the reference. So yeah, it's Mark 10:27. Jesus looked at them and said, "With men it is impossible, but not with God. For with God all things are possible."
There we go.
Okay.
So there's ones where I can find it in my Bible, but
you
to
don't
tell you the reference,
the actual
I have
reference.
to think about it. I know that it's near Mark 11, so I'm like, it's got to be Mark 10. And then Mark 9 has the story where the guy says, "I believe, help my unbelief." So there's a lot of verses.
It's not quite the same thing, but it was sort of what I was with Psalm 119, Psalm 91. 7, where I'm like, I know it's in Psalm 91 somewhere, but I don't know like the specific
one verse off. All right. So the final scores for this week from Bible Trivia is Team Clever Ducks at 162,500, and Team Super-Sleuths at an even 200,000.
Yay!
162,500 to 200,000.
30.
Please don't ask me to do more math. I had a hard enough time. No, okay. Oh, you want?
No, we're.
There we go. There.
I think we're 30-something behind.
Huh?
30,000 something behind. 38 or something.
37,500. 37,500.
There we go.
Anyway, thanks for joining us for Bible Trivia. Trying out more of the sound effects this time.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, I like them. All right, so we're going to finally talk about why we keep talking about
are you comfortable with talking about it now?
I think I'm comfortable with talking about it now.
Okay.
Are you comfortable, Nathan?
I'm comfortable.
Okay. I would be more comfortable if I had my weighted blanket right now.
Yeah, I have this pillow on this chair to make it comfortable too.
Comforter. I get the horn for that one.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Well, not really sorry, but that was savage. But
sorry, not.
I was trying to be honest, but it came out sounding savage. But
it's the brutal truth.
There's a good internet quote.
Savage.
Internet quote. I'm trying to be honest, and it came out sounding savage. Anyway, so. Emily, will you tell us why we're talking about uncomfortable?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm comfortable talking about that.
You just asked us if we were comfortable.
Yeah, I asked if you guys were comfortable. I didn't say I was comfortable. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. I'm comfortable with it. I'm good.
Okay.
I thought I'd make you uncomfortable for a minute.
I see. So. It worked. No, kidding.
No, we were talking about
It worked.
It worked.
Well, we were just taking time the other night talking about our podcast, and we are always looking ways to improve and think outside the box. And we were just talking about, well, should we change the order of how we do things, and then we thought we could do something kind of like, well, I talked about how I am a planner. And so for me, I like to have an idea of this is what we're talking about, and this is kind of like I kind of like to have a roadmap for the podcast. And we were talking about how maybe we could not do that necessarily. And I'm like, ooh, and I'm like, And I thought, hey, that's a good idea, talking about getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So then we made a plan about
I
being
know.
uncomfortable.
Planned.
getting out of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
We're going to plan the comfort zone. We need to get out of our comfort zone. So let's plan to talk about getting out of our comfort zone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As
It's
you
like
can
the,
see, we have not mastered this.
Not yet. Not yet.
I was going to say it's like the procrastination meeting, or the procrastination support group. They're meeting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Very good.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But, and then we were telling our dad, oh yeah, we're talking about getting out of your comfort zone. I said, basically just being in ministry.
Yeah, which is true.
Because it's true. I mean, I think ministry is all about just being out of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
I know for myself, I'm pretty introverted. And so things like the podcast works for me because in my head, I'm not talking to people I don't know. In my head, I'm talking to people I do know.
Hello.
If I really thought about the fact that
Other
I
people are listening.
don't know might listen to this, I might be like, I don't want to do that.
Shout out to you all.
Yeah. To the people I don't know.
Anyway, yeah.
The 2 other listeners
Well,
that I don't know. No. But there are things that God has called me to do that are not, as I said, they're not introvert friendly. So
Yeah.
I lead praise and worship at our church, and that's uncomfortable. And I remember when I first started, it was actually really hard. I have always loved to sing. I from the time I was little, I've loved to sing. When I was real little, I didn't mind singing in front of people and singing in front of camera. But, as I got older, I did not like to sing for people to listen to. Like singing a solo, so hard. And I really wouldn't sing my best just because, not because I didn't want to sing my best, but I just wasn't comfortable just belting it out. But when we started the church, we needed someone to lead music, and so it was me, and I did love doing it. I had sung in youth group before, but I wasn't the lead singer, so it wasn't the same,
right.
Where this was, I was, the only singer for when we first started.
Yeah.
And
for a good long time.
Yeah. And I remember I would just stare at the back wall. I wouldn't even look at anybody when I started singing, because I thought, I don't want to see their expression. I don't want to figure, I don't want to be thinking oh, are they, thinking I sound bad? And one thing that helped though was to realize that it's not about me. And so
right, got you.
I don't really need to be paying attention to them anyway. So it,
Mm-hmm.
or
it's all about God anyway.
Yeah, I would either stare at the back wall, or I said I stare at the back wall. What I did at first was I would keep my eyes closed the entire time. And then if I did open them, I would just look at the back of the room and not look at anybody, and then I'd just close them again.
There's no one else here but me.
Yeah. But being in ministry, it's not really a comfort thing. It's not something where it's oh yeah, I just like doing this, and this is, not that you don't like doing it, but it's lots of times, even though there's stuff that you do enjoy doing, that there may be times where God has you do something that you're not used to.
Yeah. And I just kind of want to interject here, if I may. It's not about being uncomfortable just for the purpose of being uncomfortable. For instance, Paul didn't just go hang out in prisons because he didn't like being in prison, and ministry is uncomfortable. His ministry ended him up in prison, and which wasn't necessarily the most comfortable thing to do. And not that everyone who's in ministry will end up in prison, obviously, but ministry being uncomfortable isn't necessarily about God just saying, you're not comfortable doing this, go do it.
Yeah.
It's about I want to minister to this person, and I want you to go I should say, God saying, I want you to go minister to this person, and that isn't necessarily comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you have to be careful because sometimes like people will have this like ideology of I have to make myself step out of my comfort zone in the sense of they seek out opportunities to go outside of their comfort zone. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying that that's not
your purpose shouldn't be.
That's not our purpose and what we're talking about.
Right.
I feel like if you walk with Jesus for any length of time, he's going to have you do something that's not, you know, comfortable.
Yeah.
He's going to have you do something that you're like, I never done this before. Is this going to be okay?
Mm-hmm. Right. Things that maybe don't make sense, or like, you know, like Peter walking on the water. Now in that case, Peter was like, hey, if it's really you, you know, call me, you know, tell me to step out, you know, but he had no, you know, other than he sees Jesus and knows he's doing it, he had nothing else that would tell him that he could actually walk on the water. But he, you know, he could for that length of time as long as he kept his eyes on Jesus. So you can do those things that God's telling you to do that are uncomfortable as long as you're keeping your eyes and focus on Jesus. If you know the story of when Jesus was walking on the water, and Peter says, hey, if it's really you, you know, call me out. So Jesus says, yeah, come. He's like, hey, you said if it's me, call you out. So, hey, you know, and so he starts to step out onto the water, and it seems like he maybe even gotten a little ways close to Jesus in some way, but because he starts looking at the wind and the waves because there was a storm going on, and he starts to lose his focus on Jesus and focus on the wind of the waves, and he begins to sink. And he says, Lord, help me. And Jesus immediately grabs him by the hand, pulls him up, and they actually walk back to the boat together. So they must have been close enough for Jesus to reach him in some way, you know, or he jumped himself over, you know, I don't know, but whatever the case was, you know, but he got distracted by the things that make it uncomfortable, the wind and the waves, you know, and so if you keep your focus on Jesus, you can do those things that make you uncomfortable that he's calling you to do.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of a little story that I decided to not mention until we were doing the podcast. So, because I was thinking about things to do make you uncomfortable. So we did kind of
do something unplanned. Well, you planned
except
it,
we planned to do an unplanned thing.
I didn't plan it.
Yeah. So
I'm not sure I'm comfortable with you sharing this story right now.
Oh, it's something kind of cool, but something is sort of a partial failure on my part as well. But this is giving you an example of doing something outside of your comfort zone. So this was several months back. I looked back on the timestamp. It was like end of February, beginning of March. So I think we've mentioned a couple of times the Robertson podcast.
Yeah.
On here, and so the very first episode with Phil Robertson or what Jace is on there, he begins their podcast is called Unashamed. And so the first title of the episode is like how Jace got unashamed. And so he was talking about, it was sometime, probably like 80s, 90s, I don't know exactly when, but it was like pre-time of cell phone. He was nervous about sharing his faith with other people. And all of a sudden he just got this random call on like a landline, no caller ID, has no idea who it is. He gets this call, and he has no idea who it is, and he says hello, and no one's answering. But he can tell, like, there's enough noise on the line, he can tell, like, someone's on the line. So he's like, he's like, I don't know. So he decides that he's like, look, since you're here on the phone, he's like, I'm going to tell you about Jesus, basically. And so he tells this complete stranger about Jesus, and I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. And he's like, this is a risk-free situation. At any point, if they don't want to hear anymore, they can hang up. Right. And so I heard that, I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. And then all of a sudden, randomly, back at the end of February, I get this drunk text from a completely random person. Yeah. I have no idea who they are. And they say something like, hey, let me tell you something, man. I love you like a brother. He's like, I'm drunk as expletive. And he's like, he tells me all this stuff about him. He's like, dude, you saved my life. And I have no idea who this guy is. But he's like, he's like, I'm drunk and all this like random stuff. And it's interesting. He used like a couple of like curse words, but he didn't actually put them in there. He like gave me the first letter and a bunch of asterisks. I'm like, so you know enough to know that you shouldn't actually cuss in this text to this person. And so I'm like, because also he didn't just give me the text. He actually had called a couple of times, I think, randomly from that number, and didn't and then all of a sudden he gives me this text. I'm like, oh snap. I know this is not just a drunk text because it sounds like a drunk text, but because he literally says I'm drunk. And he tells me this random stuff about something about $200. He's driving a Caddy, but he doesn't drink and drive. He's just relaxing in his car. I'm like, okay. I have no idea who this is, but I thought back to Jace's thing where he was like, hey, this is risk free. You have no idea who this is. If they don't want to do anything, then they don't have to. So I decided that at that point, I sent him a text back. It's long enough that it gave me, you can't just read it in line. You have to click, and it gives me this little extra page. But I gave him a basic thing. I'm like, hey, man, I believe you may have intended this. I said, I believe you may have intended to send this text to another person, as I don't know who this is. I said, however, I'd like to take this time to tell you that Jesus loves you very much. And then I just gave him a little, it's a long text, but it's slightly a synopsis on how to get born again. And then I was like, hey, if you need help getting a church or a Bible, let me know. Yeah. And so I just sent that to him. And it's a slightly uncomfortable thing. I was a little nervous to do it because I'm like, I do have no idea who this guy is. I don't know what will happen,
Right.
But it said, so that was, it was cool that I did that. But the failure part was later on. I'm driving for work and I get another call from the guy, and I, instead of answering it, I freaked out and let it go to voicemail. Now it was a butt dial because when I got the voicemail, there's just a bunch of background noise. So he wasn't actually intentionally calling me either. So it was a mixture of good and a failure at the same time because I didn't actually follow it through, and he hasn't contacted me at all in a long time. I have his contact name under Romans 1:16 because that's I'm unashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Yeah. So if ever I get a call from Romans 1:16 or a text, I know this is the guy I sent the text to. So that's just something, an example of something. Hey, if you get a random call from a spam risk or a telemarketer instead of sending it to voicemail,
that's a good idea.
Why not be like, hey,
a really cool idea.
Yeah.
And that either they may either hang again. It's what Jay said. It's it's fairly risk free if they're done on the other line. If they give you a call, all they have to do is hang up, and there's no necessary attachment to that you have to go any further. But you can, and you can say, hey, do you know Jesus loves you? He's like, hey, I got something to tell you. Well, I got something to tell you.
Well, maybe next time Tony texts me to get my car out of his driveway, I can tell him about Jesus.
Tony, I kind of remember you. Did you tell the story on the
I think
podcast,
I did,
maybe?
actually.
I don't know if you told on the podcast, and I talked about it.
I've talked about it recently.
At a church before.
Anyway, he texts, just to sum it up, he had texted me a long, long time ago, get your car out of my driveway. I'm like, I don't know who you are. He's like, yes, you do. Blah, 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 blah. And he tells me everything about, what my car looks like. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't drive that. And I said, I'm like, I don't know who you are. He's like, this is Tony. I'm like, yeah, I don't know who you are. So then there, a month, 6 months passed, I think, at least, maybe a year. Either 6 months or a year passed. And all of a sudden I got this text from him. I don't know if he wanted me to move my car or he wanted me to do something. Or I'm here, where are you? Or I don't know, some kind of strange thing. And I was like, hey.
I'm not there.
I was like, that time I think I was a little bit friendlier. I was just like, hi, Tony. I'm like, I don't know who you are, but you keep texting my phone. I'm like, I don't think I'm the person you think, you're looking for.
I'm not the droid you're looking for.
But next time, if Tony texts back.
There you go.
It's kind of interesting because I've seen videos online of people who they'll play around with spam emails and they'll hit reply and they'll just mess with them. It's kind of interesting if Christians took that opportunity to minister to people that way. What happened?
The spam risk calls. Yeah, it's true.
It's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Next time they want to talk to you about your warranty, I want to be like, let's talk about your life insurance.
Eternal warranty.
Life insurance.
Your intern.
I like that.
Your extended life's warranty. Can I talk to you about your extended life's warranty? Say what? Yeah. Do you know you can have life after death? It's guaranteed.
Oh, that's good.
There you go.
There you go.
So there's an option to get out of your comfort zone. Because the interesting thing for me is doing something on a platform of some kind is not as much of a hard thing for me. Because high school and stuff, I like doing a lot of drama and acting, so that doesn't bother me as much. Although it, it can be nervous, sometimes, but it's that person-to-person interaction that is stepping out of the comfort zone for me, letting them know that Jesus really loves them. But it's important to know, like, this is, something that's run for me. It's like, it's bigger than me. This is bigger than, me being uncomfortable with what are they going to think of me? Are they going to think I'm a nut? Are they going to think I'm weird, creepy, crazy, whatever? It's like, it's bigger than whatever. What if they do? Like, they may not. They may actually really want you to talk to them, but maybe they do think you're crazy. But it's bigger than their thoughts about you or what you think they're going to think about you. This is about their soul, And so that, for me, like, it's harder for that person-to-person thing. That's my comfort zone that I gotta jump out of that boat, so to speak. Back to the story of Peter there. But so that's one thing you can do. You can, if you get a random text, there you go. You got a telemarketer, because I did have that one time I got a call, and the caller ID literally was telemarketer. I did send that one to voicemail. But
I mean, people say I'm strange, but does it make me a stranger that my best friend was born in a manger? I feel like that was a song.
I feel that too.
That's why I went into a drum guitar riff. It's not just I'm strange
feeling. It might be like from the 90s.
I thought, what if people think that I'm a Jesus freak? I don't really care if they find that
what
it's
do they
true.
do? Yeah, if it's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that also
have some decent Christian talk
in a
there.
Song, in like a 90s song.
I think
a 90s Christian rock
song.
You
you
could get three guys to get together and sing
who could do the rap? It sounds like a kind of a rap in it. Who'd be great? Toby Mac.
Yes.
He could totally do the rap.
Yes. And then if you threw in like Kevin Max with his vocals.
And Michael Tate.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
That would be amazing.
That would be awesome.
That would be.
I think it would make a great band. Like,
they
for
totally
real.
should do it.
And then they could have a reunion tour later.
And then they could have like a concert that says "Welcome to the Freak Show."
There you go.
It'd be a new thing.
There you go.
Yes.
Real new thing isn't an actual thing that they did, right? They did new thing.
New thing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yes.
Anyway, this may or may not be hypothetical.
It's not hypothetical.
It's not hypothetical.
No,
we're not just having decent Christian talk.
The greatest Christian band of all time is not hypothetical.
Who's that?
Jodat.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
See, I was going to joke and say Petra, but
they're pretty good.
They're pretty good.
It depends on your style, your preferred style.
Petra's good. DC Talk's good. There's some good people.
DC Talk. I mean, let's face it.
Band wise, but solo artist SEC is like my favorite. But
point is, there's a lot of good Christian musicians,
yes.
and DC Talk is one of the best, if not the best.
It's the best.
The best.
Yes.
Anyway, I feel like we're getting off topic.
Totally.
That's okay.
Does that make you feel uncomfortable?
Not really. Just I feel like we're getting off topic.
That's okay.
Well, we're getting out of our comfort zone.
Singing lyric or like
talking
using lyrics in conversation is totally a thing that I
did
am comfortable
do that
with.
on a Facebook page. There's like called Mixtape Theology, which is pretty cool. They talk about they talk like 90s Christian music, and they talk about like the lyrics and like the word behind them. And I haven't seen too many of their videos, but they did post a little thing about Fingerprints of God. So I started throwing in SCC references and like puns in a comment thing with, and then this other guy chimed in, and he like outdid me with this really long like thing. I'm like, okay, so I was going off my repertoire of SCC songs I knew. I feel like you look up his albums and work them into it, but maybe he's
that,
a good fan. Maybe he's a really good fan more than I am. But
I mean,
anyway.
it's hard to be a bigger SCC fan than you, but
I think I could do a pretty good job with,
just give me the next 5 minutes.
I mean, while it's still called Today, I could.
See, I didn't know about that one until he did that.
Yeah.
You'll have to.
I mean, I could make it. I could make it heaven in the real world, and
I feel like
trying to make this work, but it's like Dancing with a Dinosaur. You know what I'm saying?
Stole my thunder.
Oh, sorry.
Are you waiting for lightning?
No.
Oh, that's a song.
That is a song?
Yes.
SCC song?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Puns are a magnificent obsession. That's my declaration.
We're diving deep.
There you go.
Well, it's got to be true.
Yeah. Got to be true.
It does.
Gotta believe.
Well, this has been a great adventure, but I think it's time for us to get back to our topic here.
Yeah.
It's only natural, right? So, anyway, but the point, like, to get out of your comfort zone, I mean, God's going to call you to do things that are going to be uncomfortable. Again, you're not supposed to necessarily pursue the discomfort, but if God calls you to do something that is uncomfortable, you should do it. There's a couple of things that can make you feel uncomfortable with doing it. And I was, thought of this a moment ago, and it's like, I think one of the two things that can make you either feel uncomfortable, it's either this is outside of my skill set or out of the norm, or what will people think. This is how we got on the tangent in the first place, but what are people going to think about how you do this? Are they going to think I'm crazy, or what are they going to think about me when I do it? And that's really not, it's not important. I think of in the book of, it's in John somewhere. Somewhere, it's not a chapter, but anyway, it talked about people who believed in Jesus, but they were unwilling to admit that they loved Jesus, or not that, but that they believed in him because of the Pharisees. And John specifically says that they love the praise of men more than the praise of God. I have to wonder what would have happened if they had not been so concerned about the Pharisees, what they thought of them, what the Pharisees might do to them, cast them out of synagogue, make them lose their place, a place of comfort. They have rule, they have this, dignity about them. People look up to them. They're looked at as holy. They have probably, at least a decent amount of money. If it's not great riches, they got some type of wealth and a say in what happens. And if they came out and said, hey, I believe that Jesus really is the Messiah, the Son of God, out they go, boom, it's gone. But if they were to love the praise of God more than man, how would that have gone differently for them? And the whole thing could have gone differently, And then the other thing I think of when it comes to, is this my skill set? I remember that Jesus talked about when you're brought before like synagogue rulers and kings on account of him, he said, don't think about what you're going to say. He said the Holy Spirit will give you words at the time. And for me, the biggest thing, I think I may have mentioned on the podcast before, for me, thinking it through, that's like a big thing that I do. I may have, like, before I say something to someone, is a possibility that I thought that through like 50 times. And I reworded it to make it sound perfect, in my brain 50 times before I said it to you once to try to make it sound good. And that's something that I have to, work on, trusting God, getting out of the comfort zone and saying, okay, I'm not going to plan this out. I'm not going to think about this. I'm going to let you direct me when I get to that moment to say, hey, you say you're a Christian. What's it all about? Who is Jesus? Why do you, why is this important? I'm like, I won't say, I wasn't prepared to have this conversation. Come back later. I need to have that trust to say, all right, you said you'd give me the words at the time, and go for it.
Well, and the thing to remember too is God never calls us to do anything that he doesn't equip us for. Jesus sent out the 12 to go out and minister. And then he also sent out this, later he sent out a group of 70 to go out and minister. And, he had equipped them, he had taught them and trained them. So I still imagine, even having been with Jesus and watching him heal people and cast out demons and do all these different things, I bet it was still uncomfortable the first time for them, to do that. I think it was probably like, oh my goodness, like, okay, yeah, Jesus is doing it, but he's the Messiah, like,
right?
I'm just me,
I mean, when I believe it was the 70 came back, they're like, Lord, the demons are subject to us.
Yeah, they were shocked.
In your name, they were kind of like happily surprised.
Yeah, but he had anointed them to go do that. And so anything that God tells you to do that seems uncomfortable or seems like, I don't think I can do this, he's going to give you the tools necessary, or already has given you the tools necessary to do it.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it last week about where he's in Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. What he was just talking about right before then, he said, I know how to be abased and how to abound, where everywhere and in all things I'm instructed both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. He was working the ministry, and he was going through comforts and discomforts, abounding and abased, hungry and full, abounding and suffering need. Mm-hmm. And he was able to go through all those situations because Christ was strengthening him, because he was walking in his will.
Yeah.
Whenever God calls you to do something, he's going to give you, like you said, he's going to equip you to do whatever he's called you to do.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Long pause of silence.
It's an object lesson. This is a reference. I mean, this is 2 seconds. Just goes really long, awkward on the podcast.
Mm-hmm. All right. Shall we pray?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Lord, we just thank you for this time together. Lord, I pray over all of us, Lord, that you would help us, Lord, that when you've called us to do something, Father, that we would do it, Father, that we would be like Jesus, that our will would be to do your will, and that you would help us to trust you, that even if it's something that we've never done before or seems impossible, Lord, that we would trust you to equip us, Father, with what we need to do. And we thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. If you have any questions, you can always email us at 3pks@iabound.org. That's the number 3, not spelled out 3. Digital 3.
As opposed to the alpha. No, I was going to say alphanumeric, but it doesn't quite work. What's it? Phonics?
No,
Phonetics?
alphanumeric.
But that's numbers and letters too, isn't it?
Yeah.
So like to spell it out.
Oh,
just
it'll just be alpha.
Alpha. Okay. So numeric as opposed to alpha.
Numeric as opposed to alpha.
Anyway, sorry. Continue.
Oh, I think that's all I...
Oh, okay.
I was going to let you talk
just
about...
I
thought you were going to talk about the platforms.
Just to reiterate, it's
3pks at iabound.org.
Yes.
And we are on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
On Facebook.
Nathan's not on Facebook.
Matthew and Emily are on Facebook.
Yeah.
No, I'm on Facebook too. I'm just not as much
often
as Matthew and Emily.
Yeah. Although, I don't know. It might be coming to a close because Facebook's, like, as far as, not our page necessarily, but, like, I don't know if I'll be on there as much because some of the things it's just kind of getting boring. It's just kind of not getting interesting anymore, but... But we're on there. That's interesting. But not that we're boring, but a lot of my news feed is just kind of...
Facebook's totally boring, including us.
No. Anyway, but no, so there's, Facebook, and then we're on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio. If you like one of those platforms better than whatever you're listening to it on, or you have a friend or family member, a PK that likes one of those better, go ahead and send them that way. Tell a friend about the podcast.
Yeah. And if you got questions for us,
you
what
can
it's
comment.
like to be a PK, you can let us know.
Or email.
We're still trying to figure it out too.
Yeah, we don't know all the way.
We're not experts. We
No.
just have a podcast and talk about it.
There you go.
So
It's a little
we're not
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's just a tiny bit.
We're just kind of dragging on. It's getting awkward.
It's getting awkward? No, I'm kidding. Anyway.
He likes to end with that one.
I see. Well, catch you guys next time.